And it is great to welcome back to the show today a woman who is the one of the New York Times best-selling author of a great series of thriller books, I should say. This, her latest, is called Find Her, and we're joined by Lisa Gardner today from up in, I believe, the Boston area. Lisa, good to talk with you again. How are you?
Just fine. How are you, Doug?
I'm doing great. I guess it was about a year ago we talked about the previous book, and how are things up in, you're just outside of Boston, right?
Yeah, I'm just north of Boston, where we wish we had more snow, but, it's a gray winter and perfect for reading thrillers.
I know the New York area got a lot of it a week or two ago, so you're used to it up there. Yeah. Well, this book is kind of interesting. I don't like to give too much away, like I said before when we talk to novelists, but this is a little bit of a departure. It's still a D.D. Warren novel, right, featuring your Boston detective, but a little bit different character in it as well, right?
Absolutely. Find Her is Detective D.D. Warren, but it also brings a new character, Flora Dane. And 5 years ago, when on spring break in Florida, as a college student, Flora Dane was kidnapped and held captive for 472 days. She survived. She made it home to her family. But 5 years later, she's still somewhat waiting to feel her happily ever after. Instead, she's become obsessed with self-defense, self-reliance. She's following other missing persons cases in the news. And when a college student disappears in Boston, it is Detective D.D. Warren who's heading the case, but it is Flora Dane's obsession to find this girl and bring her home safe.
Yeah, interesting. You add a different element to the story because this character now works with D.D. Warren, so it adds a whole different dynamic, right?
Kind of. I'm not sure if Detective D.D. Warren sees it that way. I think she has a lot of concerns about this strange girl who, seems to be baiting predators, and then, is she a victim or is she a vigilante? Mm-hmm. Because the new Flora Dane is a little bit scary.
And you kind of get into, I guess, her mental, what's going on in her mind, right? Flora Dane, I'm talking about.
Yeah.
What happened to her and how that affects the rest of her current life. So that's kind of interesting for you to do that, right? To write about that.
It was a fun book for me to write, and definitely interesting because in so many suspense novels, we are into criminology. I do write psychological suspense, and I've certainly spent my fair share of time on what makes a predator. Are serial killers born or made? But Find Her is really about what makes a survivor. Mm-hmm. I bring in the FBI's fairly new department called the Office of Victim Assistance, and there's a victim specialist that's working with Flora and trying to help her with kind of her re-entry into society. And when I was interviewing those specialists, one of their big emphasis was you cannot treat a survivor as a victim. They were strong. They coped. They are resilient. You want to see them as a survivor. But that's kind of what Flora is struggling with. She still feels that powerlessness, and that's what she's trying to get over.
I was going to ask you, so when you write these books, you have to talk to a lot of people that are doing this for a living, right? You get kind of in their head a little bit.
Yes. The research is my favorite part of the process, and I was fascinated by this notion that we have crimes now that no longer fall neatly into, our square box of what we think a crime will be. We had, locally the Boston Marathon bombing.
Right.
For so many of those families, that was life-changing. They had to leave jobs to now care for loved ones. And the FBI's Office of Victim Assistance is kind of recognizing that for a lot of these people, arresting the bad guy, putting him away, it's not the end of the story. The butler did it. It's just the beginning of a whole new chapter of their lives. And that's what Flora and her family are kind of going through. This bad thing happened. Flora did come home, but nothing is the same.
Yeah, it's not just the cops and robbers. I mean, they catch the criminal and that's the end of it. It's like you said, it's almost the beginning of it for the people involved.
Yeah, and it's somewhat what Flora is struggling with. She wants that sense of closure, and she can't get it. So now she's become obsessed. Like, maybe if she can bring this college student home, she can really, save herself again.
Did you base this on kind of a composite of the people you talked to that that are in the law enforcement, FBI? You kind of base it on things they told you about people they've had to work with?
Absolutely. There's two big sources of research. One was the victim specialists themselves who've worked with a lot of families over the years. But also there's been a lot of biographies and memoirs out there, from J.C. Dugard to Elizabeth Smart to the Columbus, Ohio cases, and listening to what those girls went through and the tricks they had for surviving. I mean, these were some people who were abducted for well over 10 years. You know, how did that shape them, and how are they getting over it and carrying on with their own lives?
I know I've asked you before, but I like to ask authors of particularly crime novels or thrillers like this, suspense novels. You like doing dialogue. I know that. Is that fun for you? And this character, I guess, adds a whole new element to the dialogue, what she went through, how she describes it, right?
Well, yes, because we meet kind of two Floras, because that's how she sees herself. There's kind of running through the course of the novel is kind of the unspooling of what happened to Flora 5 years ago, you know, when she was kidnapped by this man, Jacob, and, you know, the impact of that experience on her. But the book in contemporary time is, you know, kind of, she calls herself Flora 2.0. She is the leaner, meaner model. You know, she is like the MacGyver of self-defense. She knows how to kill people with straws. She knows cool things to do with garbage. You know, she's someone who will never feel powerless again. So it's one character, but yeah, there's almost two distinct voices of who she was and who she is now.
Yeah, very great to write about, and like I said, it adds a different dynamic to your Boston detective Dee Dee Warren character. So I guess, like you said, he's not or she's not sure of how to deal with it, right?
Yes. And it's a fun book, I think, for fans of Dee Dee Warren. When we last saw her in Fear Nothing, she had a pretty serious on-the-job injury and wasn't able to work. This is her a year later. She's been doing some physical therapy. She still has limitations, so she's back on restricted duty, and which means she's basically management. And for fans of Dee Dee Warren, she doesn't even really like people, let alone managing them. It's her own special kind of hell.
You find different challenges to kind of keep her story going? Like you said, she's in a different, you know, she has to do desk duty now, so I guess you have to find different ways for her to behave, right? As you write more books about it?
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely a character-driven author, and I think readers also like to see a character evolve. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, this is Dee Dee's kind of next challenge in trying to figure out how to make this work, because, you know, she does love being a detective. She doesn't want to be sidelined for the rest of her career, but okay, so how do you do this? And her own squad is giving her a hard time because, of course, she finds it impossible to sit behind a desk. You know?
Well, it's another great, like you said, chapter in Dee Dee Warren's character for the fans of her. I'm sure they're going to enjoy. But if you have never read one of Lisa's books, we invite you to check this one out. Again, it's called Find Her. New York number one New York Times bestselling author Lisa Gardner has been with us today. Do you have give out your website again, Lisa? People can get more information about the book.
Absolutely. If readers would like to learn more about Find Her or any of my other novels, there's lisagardner.com. I am on Facebook and Twitter, and I encourage people to check it out, and also check out the Kill a Friend, Name a Buddy sweepstakes, where you can nominate the person of your choice to die in my next novel.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
I have 2 winners. Yep, 2 winners in Find Her.
Oh, really? Okay, that's something to look for. Yeah, I have to check that out.
Yeah.
I have some names I'd like to submit, so that'll be fun.
There you go. Sam, I don't judge. It can be yourself. It can be a spouse. I don't judge.
Well, Lisa, really great to talk to you again. I'm sure you have another one in the works, so whenever that comes out, we look forward to talking to you that time. But thanks for being with us today.
Probably same time next year, Doug.
Great. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you very much.
I'm Stan Brock. 30 years ago, I formed Remote Area Medical to help people overseas. But then we found generations of families in America isolated by poverty from the health care they need. Together, we can take dental, vision, and medical help to 1 million adults and their kids, right here at home in the United States of America.
If you'd like to order the book we're talking about, please go to DougMilesMedia.com and enter the author's name in the Amazon search box. Thank you for listening. Please come back soon for more conversations here at DougMilesMedia.com. This has been a presentation of Doug Miles Media. All rights reserved.
You can listen to or download previous programs at iTunes, Stitcher.com, or Doug Miles Media.